Episode 16. So you're using Zillow. Cool. Let's not burn the whole house down. Hey, Zillow warriors, scroll happy dreamers, and midnight house stalkers. Welcome back to First Time Keys Podcast. Your host, Adam McCallister, where we decode the nonsense and expose the real estate tea that no one else wants to spill. Hey, before we get started, do me a favor. Please hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help what I'm doing here with the podcast. It supports things and allows me to keep bringing you good real estate, first time home buying content. All right. So we did the Zillow Exposed episode last week, and I was really looking forward to that. And as fate would have it, this past weekend, I actually had one of my clients that I'm working with now, first-time home buyers that I happened to pick up through Zillow, was how we met. Again, I was transparent with you guys, and we still advertise with them. We still advertise heavily with them. And Sunday was up. Our youngest son did his very first Spartan race. By the way, killed it. I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, what the hell did you do? What did you sign up for? And sure enough, he paid the money, and there were thousands of people. This was this past Sunday. They held it at the Blue Mountain Resort up around the Poconos area of PA. And I mean, thousands of people showed up to partake and be Spartans and do this event. And it was ludicrous. I mean, the just all the events that were there, all the things he had to do. And it was this big physical day. And I think one of the cool things about it was seeing people. I mean, you had the people that looked like they do this every Tuesday, and then you had a lot of people though that they were signed up for their first one in different physical abilities, and in different shapes and sizes. So it kind of was inspirational. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Maybe I want to sign up and do this. Um, and but I'm like, okay, he's 24. I'll be 50 next year. Whew, it's time to start training. So anyway, so we're up at the Spartan race, and one of my clients we're working with, the folks from Zillow, uh, earlier in the week, we were going back and forth on some properties that had hit the market. And I was like, yeah, just let me know when you want to go. We'll go take a look at them. So this is like 11 o'clock Sunday afternoon. And she sends over a message of, hey, I want to go see these homes. Can we get there at 1:30? And I'm like, oh, well, first off, I'm 2.5 hours away. That's not going to happen. But lo and behold, we're able to get things worked out. But in the process, she was like, well, if you're up there, I can just jump on Zillow and contact other agents and get in. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Let's not break the cardinal rule of using Zillow, and that is hopping around to a bunch of different agents. So I was like, you know what? Last week's episode, I got in and did the whole Zillow expose. And I'm like, you know what? I think let's continue the Zillow conversation and really kind of go through what not to do in a more in-depth way, as well as a more what to do, how to use it as a tool, and not as your just absolute go-to for everything real estate. So that being said, let's jump into this thing. Remember, Zillow can be the Bermuda Triangle of home buying, and that's what we're going to discuss today. All right. So every family has that one family member. You get together at the holidays. Maybe it's a cousin, maybe it's a dad, maybe it's an uncle, and they just go on and tell some amazing stories. Now, most of the story, like a good 80% of it's complete bullshit, but it's entertaining. But it's not at all accurate. That's what Zillow is. It's the best way I can really put this together for you. So let me clear up a few things. That house you love, it might already be sold. So just because it's listed as active doesn't mean it's available. The data lag on Zillow is a real thing. Sometimes they're on point. Other times they're weeks behind, and other times that home never really existed. Remember the story of the gentleman that I told you last week, where he thought his home was listed for sale because his girlfriend and him had gotten into a fight. And turns out Zillow just had the information on public records, but his house wasn't actually for sale. That's true. That's real. The best way I can put it is, you're using fiber to connect to the internet, and Zillow at times is still using an AOL disk from 1997. Not at the same level. So, again, that house you love, the house you're seeing there, might actually not be for sale. The price, it could be old, it could be incorrect, it might be based on a previous listing. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. And I think that's one of the big things here, because if a home is for sale, regardless of the type of sale, it will show up on Zillow. And that includes auctions. So if there's a home that's available for a real estate auction, it may show the house, it may show whatever available pictures are there, and it's going to show a price. That price is not the price that the home is selling for. That's the starting bid price when they start the auction. It's just like eBay. If you've ever gone to eBay and you didn't do the buy it now, but you actually did an auction, that's exactly what it is. And a little behind the scenes with that for just a hot second. If you've ever gone to a home auction, a real estate auction, that starting price is a starting point. What'll normally happen is they'll start there. Let's say the home is listed, or they're going starting price is at $100,000. It'll go 100, it'll go 90, it'll go 85, 80, 70. They'll go down until somebody begins bidding, until someone puts their hand up and says, yeah, let's go ahead and get it started there. Then it's going to go through the bidding process with whoever is there. And they'll bid back and forth. And you'll vary, and depending on the market you're in, I know around here in South Central PA, I've gone to a few real estate auctions, and it's insane what some of these homes are selling for at auction. Now, many of them are going to investors, but it's still insane. But basically, what will happen is they'll continue to bid, and then the bidding will stop. Then the auctioneer and the representative of the homeowner, like if it's an estate, the auctioneer will go back with the executor of the estate. They'll have a private meeting, come back out, and then they'll go, okay, we're going to allow the bidding to go on a little bit further. That is when the real bidders come out to bid, because they let everybody else play around. Now that's when the serious buyers and builders or bidders are going to come out at the auction. And that's when you'll see that price go from, yeah, it kind of makes sense here, to, oh, no frickin' way. Not paying that. So that's to keep in mind if you see a home that's up for auction. The other thing to keep in mind is with many auction properties, these are going to be cash only. And they're going to require, if you win the auction, the day of that, you're going to be required to put a pretty hefty down payment. Sometimes it's 20%, sometimes it's 10%. Sometimes they have a fixed amount, like there's one that is on the market in our area now, and then they're requiring $25,000 down. And again, the auction price that they're showing is $100,000. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Secondly, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be cash only. So you're going to be required to put a large cash down payment if you're the winning bidder. And then many are collecting the total amount within 10 days. So you either have to be a cash buyer, or you've got to have a loan that's already through underwriting, and like a personal loan that you can just go to the bank and go, hey, I need a check in the amount of X to satisfy the auction. Auction properties are not going to allow you to go get a mortgage, go 30, 45 days through underwriting. So if you see an auction property and you're a first-time home buyer, or even a second-time home buyer, and you're not cash heavy, my suggestion to you is either A, move on to something else, or B, if you have a family member or someone who's willing to give you the cash, it's the only way an auction property is ever going to make sense for most folks. So, and again, like an auction property, it's going to be as is, so no inspections. You might get a walkthrough of the property, but that's about it. So again, just because you're seeing it doesn't mean it's real. All right, continuing. The Zestimate. Honestly, we've covered this heavy last week, but it's like the astrology of real estate, and it's not even good astrology. This is like your local town carnival astrologist. It's the person who they're working at the local coffee shop, and they happen to set up because someone needed a stand set up for a fortune teller, so they're there. Um, it's kind of right. It's hilariously off most of the time. Use it for curiosity. Do not use it for negotiations. Here's another big thing to keep in mind, and this goes right back to the example I gave and what kind of got my mind going is into we need to dig deeper. Those tempting buttons that are there that say contact agent or schedule a tour, here's the deal. They're not real appointment setters. And they're not real appointment setters for two reasons. Zillow is not checking with the seller or seeing if the house is even, for sale. So they're not real. Here's the thing you have to keep in mind. And we talked about this, and that is Zillow owns so much of the home buying process. They own Dotloop, a huge client documentation software. We use it. We've used it for years. It's great software, but Zillow owns it. Zillow also bought within the last couple of years, they bought Showing Time, which is our showing calendar. So when we go in to schedule a showing, that notifies the seller, that notifies the listing agent that we are intending to show the property at a certain date and time. Zillow bought that. And when you go in to hit that with the schedule a tour, it's going into Showing Time. It doesn't mean that it's actually confirmed with anyone. So let me give you an example. So it's not uncommon where, let's say it's a Saturday afternoon. It's 1 o'clock. And all of a sudden my phone blows up and there is someone who's playing around on Zillow and they want to schedule a tour for a home at 1:30. And I'm like, wait a minute. I can't get there at 1:30. Either A, I'm already on an appointment. B, I could be doing something else. And C, if it's none of the above, I'm at least not even prepared to drop everything and get to an appointment less than a half hour, depending on where that location, where the house actually is. So before you hit contact agent or scheduling a tour, whether it's with Zillow or any other software, or you're thinking about just scheduling a tour, I think this is a piece of the puzzle that a lot of people forget. Yes, it's a house for sale, but it's a house that's still owned by a person, by a seller, by an owner. They may still be living in the home. They may have kids there. They may have pets there. It might be tenant occupied if it's a rental property. So give them some leeway. There's many times where a home, in order to be showed, is going to ask for an hour, 2 hours, sometimes 24 hours notice, especially if it's a tenant occupied property. I know here in PA, if it's a tenant occupied property, the tenants must be notified at minimum 24 hours ahead of time. Again, thinking that, oh, we're driving through the neighborhood, we're right down the street, let's just go in and pop in and see this. If it's an open house, no harm, no foul, go do it. But if it's not an open house, your chances of getting into that home, just because you're right down the street or you might be right out front, it's not going to happen. Buying a home and going and seeing a home it's not Walmart. There's no greeter outside. It's been forever since I was at Walmart. I'm assuming they still have greeters. But there's no greeter just waiting for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just because, hey, it's Wednesday at 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm off work. Let's go see it. There's no guarantee that's actually going to work. Plan ahead. Give your agent, and again, your agent, not the person you're connecting with on Zillow, because again, we're going to continue talking about this, but give your agent enough time, because remember, they have other clients, they have other things on their calendar. And if for some reason the time you're available doesn't match when your agent's available, your agent is a professional. They should be making time. I know for any of my clients, if they contact me and I'm not available, I'm going to work my ass off to make sure I get one of my agents out to show them the home. And then it's my job and my responsibility as a business owner to take care of my agents. I'm going to pay them for their time and effort in showing you the home in my absence. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to slow down the process for you if I'm not available, but your home comes on the market. The same level of expectation you should have for any agent that you're working with. We've got agents on our team. I've got agents I can rely on to get out and show homes for me because that's the relationship. The relationship that we have is to take care of our clients. And if you don't have that kind of agent, contact me, and I'm happy to get you connected with someone who's a great agent who will. So when you're hitting those buttons, that info, it gets shot into the lead lottery machine. And whoever paid Zillow to buy leads in your zip code, it might be a great agent. Or it might be some guy who can't figure out how to put on a pair of Crocs. Okay? So again, when you're hitting buttons, you're just diving deeper into the goal that Zillow has for you, which is collecting your data. Okay? They want you to click around. They want you to engage on their website. And they want to continue to get your data to be able to sell that to agents who are looking to buy it. They're not looking to connect you with your dream home. Sure, the marketing says that, but that's not Zillow's goal. Their goal is to get your data. So again, just make sure that you're allowing enough time and respecting the homeowner and giving them enough time. Again, I get it. We're all busy. We've got busy schedules, but if you're serious about home buying, you need to make sure you're budgeting time of your own schedule to go allow for that. You're not buying a pair of shoes. You're not going out and just buying a new outfit. You're buying the place that you're going to be laying your head every night and calling home. The place you're going to be celebrating holidays and birthdays and hanging out with friends and creating memories. That's the place you're buying. Take some damn time off and schedule time to go see it and be serious about it. Don't be out on a whim. And I know sometimes properties come up real quick and you want to get in. And if you're working with your agent, they're going to see those and make sure you get the opportunity to go in. So again, the big piece of this is one, make sure you're planning. And number two, don't just get on the Zillow round robin agent carousel. All right. So here's how to use Zillow without getting burnt. First off, use it to learn your vibe. Okay, if you're looking for a new home and you're looking in areas, take a look at Zillow. Take a look around. What kind of styles of homes are that you like? What kind of styles of homes do you not like? Do you like 2-story? Do you like 1-story? Do you like a Cape Cod? What styles of homes do you like? Mid-modern century? Do you want something a little bit newer? Do you want brand new, move-in, new construction? What are the neighborhoods that you like? What do the homes look like that are in those specific neighborhoods? Different neighborhoods have different styles and vibes of homes. What's the general pricing in that area? Use Zillow, if anything else, as a vision board. All right. It is your home buying vision board. This is what I love to look at. Here's a kind of home I envision myself living in. Here's my budget. And then just go nuts. All right. Have fun with it. And as you start to see homes, that's when you connect with your agent and let them know that information. Double check everything. If a house catches your eye, copy the address, send it to your agent right here. And ask, is this real? I love when my clients do this, and they do this all the time with me, and I tell them to do so. Here's why. Because that property may not even be for sale. It may be under contract already, or it might not exist. More importantly, it may be a home that I already know there's some underlying issues going on. So this is something I always tell folks. You're going to buy a home a few times in your lifetime. I get to buy a home every single day with my clients. So there may be homes that hit the market I've already been in and aware of, or there are neighborhoods that I've been in hundreds of times, and I'm aware of certain things that aren't going to show up on Zillow. For instance, flood zones. If there's a property that's sitting in a flood zone, I'm going to be able to tell you, hey, that property, yeah, flood zone. It's going to cost you a ton of money in flood insurance, not to mention a flood zone. You have a chance of, losing your stuff or getting really, really wet. So double check stuff. If you see a house you like I said, those are the ones you want to connect with your agent and say, hey, uh, what can you tell me about these properties? And that's our job. I love doing that. Let us dig in because I can send you, and your agent are going to be able to send you a ton more detailed information about each property that you're seeing that Zillow's never going to have access to or be accurate about. Next, don't click the flashy buttons. Just don't. Do you want a tour? Awesome. Text or call your agent. You want info? We'll actually give it to you and it'll be accurate. Okay. So don't just click the flashy buttons. When you're clicking flashy buttons on Zillow, you are giving right into what the algorithm wants, and that is your information to sell off. Next thing to keep in mind, set realistic filters. What do I mean by this? So Zillow doesn't factor in the real accurate taxes. They may have part of the taxes, but they may not have all of them correct. In our area, we have three separate taxes that you pay on every property. You have school taxes, county, and local taxes. Now that doesn't take into effect HOAs or anything else, but sometimes in our area, Zillow only gets the real estate, the school taxes correct, or they may only show the property, meaning the county and local taxes, but never showing the school taxes. They may be incorrect or not showing the proper HOA. Again, they might not be showing you the right figures as it comes to insurance, going back to flood insurance. So that's going to have a direct impact on your budget. That pre-approval you have for a max of a $350,000 purchase might actually only mean 300,000 because of all the information that Zillow isn't showing you or doesn't have accurate representation of. And finally, Zestimates. They aren't comps. They're not gospel. They're not even a thing your appraiser or your bank are going to ask you about. They just don't exist. And by the way, bonus tip, don't base your emotional well-being on a Zillow listing. One day you're going to see a dozen perfect homes, and the next you're going to see a shack and go, man, there is nothing out there for me. The algorithm is moody AF, okay? So again, this is where connecting and having a great relationship with your real estate agent, with your buyer's agent, is most important. So, because they're going to be able to do the very next thing, and that is what to do instead. All right, because we now know, your Uncle Adam has told you, Zillow is more smoke show than substance. For in Texas, it's all hat, no cattle. So what should you do? All right, so get set up with a portal, a customized portal or customized search list from your agent. These are going to be real time, MLS backed, and not designed to sell your data. They're going to be designed to show you the homes that you'll like and that you're going to fall in love with. The big thing here is Zillow has never been with you on a home showing. I have. Your agent has. They've watched how your eyes and your smile lights up when you've seen the kitchen you absolutely adore. They've also seen your face kind of smush up and cringe like you just ate something super, super sour when you walked into the basement that just smelled like mildew. Okay? We've witnessed that. We've seen that reaction. So now we know when we're searching for homes, which ones we can take off your list and which ones we need to add to your list because they're going to be more in your line of what you're looking for in a home. Zillow's never going to be able to do that for you. Let your agent verify details before you fall in love. You know, we're going to be able to tell you if that house is still available, if the price changed, and if the seller requires a blood oath before you even get inside. All right, what can I mean by that? All right, so two things. One, as we've talked about before, you should be getting pre-approved for a mortgage before you go out home shopping. You know, you're not going to go grocery shopping and then question, oh, do I have enough money in my account to actually buy the groceries? You should be proceeding with the home buying process in the same exact way. Know what you can spend, know what your budget is, know what kind of programs you can utilize. That way, you're looking at the homes that actually fit all those criteria. Now, I say that, and I also know we live in the real world where not everyone is going to do that. Okay? So, keeping that in mind, there may be homes you're going to want to go look at that the seller, the owner of the property, has already dictated that no one's allowed to see the home unless they're pre-approved first, and those pre-approvals are going to be collected by their listing agent prior to the showing ever being confirmed. Now you may be going, well, I just want to go see the house. You're right. Let me play a little devil's advocate with you. Let's flip the script. Okay? This home, it's not owned by the seller, it's owned by you. Okay? This is your home. You live there. All of your personal effects are there. Are you okay with just any random person who happened to be scrolling through homes online to want to allow them to come in the house just all willy-nilly? Probably not. Remember, this is your home. Everything that is you, this is your safe space, is there. Do you want that property? Do you want that space given access to any random person, any random Joe Blow who's, hey, here's a pretty house, let's go take a look at it? Probably not. And I would even venture to guess you can understand the higher price that home, the less apt someone's going to be to just allow anyone and everyone to come visit it. So again, it's why having that pre-approval is so important, because you're showing the seller a respect, because I did my part. I went and got pre-approved to make sure I could even potentially be a buyer for your home. And secondly, I don't want to waste your time by just randomly going through your house when I might not even be pre-approved for that and really shouldn't be looking at the house to begin with. So that's way number one, that you might not be given access to a home. Secondly, if there's a cheap home on the market, it usually because of condition where it might be unsafe to enter. I've seen plenty of homes over the years where there is serious mold issues going inside, and therefore we need to sign a waiver before ever going in the house. And if your agent's telling you, hey, we got to sign a waiver, maybe pump the brakes of going, do I even really want to go look at this? I know it's a cheap house, and my brother knows how to paint. Maybe hold off. Okay, I've been in plenty of homes where there's mold issues, where there's parts of the floor missing, hell, where the floor is completely gone. And before we ever get the ability to go show it, we've got to sign a waiver saying, hey, if you get decapitated while you're in the house, we're not responsible. So again, be a smart home buyer. Be an intelligent home buyer. Just don't be everyone else. Okay. It's why I want to give you these tools and give you this information so you can be the smartest, most serious home buyer out there and absolutely look like a rock star. These are the foundational steps to take, that especially when you get into a competitive market, that will eventually give you the leg up, in securing your new home. All right, let's go back to our tips. Use open houses strategically. Just don't browse. Use them to learn how fast homes are selling and how fierce the competition is. You're going to go to an open house, and you may get to an open house and it's you and whoever the open house agent is that happens to be there. And that's it. I've had open houses where no one showed up. It happens. I've also had open houses where I thought we were giving away free beer, and everybody in their neighborhood showed up for 2 hours straight, and I couldn't keep up with everyone there. When you go to an open house, it's going to give you a great indication how many other buyers you're going to be competing with the types of homes and the price point that you're in. So those are things you want to pick up on, not just, hey, what does the home look like? What does my competition look like with other buyers? So that's going to give you a really, really good idea. And again, if there's a bunch of people there, good chance there's a lot of demand for that home and that style of home in that price point. So that's where you really have to be mindful and use your brain and go, oh, all right, I'm going to be in this range. I got to get super serious and get very strategic. And that's where, again, having that great relationship with your agent and next with your lender is so very, very important. Get your pre-approval done early. Zillow will not tell you that your debt to income ratio might make that $400,000 dream home laugh in your face. They're not. But your lender will tell you and can help prep to get you in the best position possible. You might not be ready yet. Your credit score, you might need to work on. Here's the great thing with credit, and we're going to have a future episode talking just about credit and improving credit scores. But if you're working with a great lender, most great lenders have what's called a credit simulator. And that is where they're able to look at your credit score, see what things are having the greatest impact on your score, and give you abilities or give you a path to improve that within a certain time frame. And that's huge. So having that awesome relationship with your lender, with your realtor, your buyer's agent, that is what makes the home buying process a make or break. All right, so let's wrap this up. Here's the deal. Zillow, it's not evil. It's just not built for your success. It's built for your engagement. So if you use it smartly with a pro in your corner, your agent, your lender, you get the filters turned on and your expectations in check, it can be a great part of the house hunting toolkit. But it shouldn't be the whole damn toolbox. All right, next episode, we're going to be digging into what happens after you find the house. The red flags you didn't look for, what to expect at the home inspection, and how not to have a full-blown panic attack when the inspector mentions a GFCI outlet. This has been your Uncle Adam. Thank you for listening to the First Time Keys podcast. Remember, please hit that like and subscribe button and send this episode to your friend who is currently planning their future around a Zillow listing that may or just may not exist. Until next time, scroll responsibly. This has been your Uncle Adam. See ya.